Welcome to Hopeful, sessions about hopelessness, anxiety and depression, and the God of all hope. I've shared many of my own stories, my battle with depression, and how God has really led me on the path of victory. And this is section 2 of how to really live in victory and how to overcome in this life as well. Last week I started by saying, firstly, you have to admit that you might have a problem and that you need to go and look for help. Firstly, go and look for that help with God. Cry out to Him, as Psalm 8 says so beautifully. And He won't always, in that moment, set you free and everything will change in a moment, but at least you are walking with God on this road of recovery. Now I want to jump in further and really ask you to go and see someone, to ask for help. And here I would really recommend a professional. It would either be a psychiatrist, a psychologist, a counselor, a doctor. But do this prayerfully. Ask the Lord to lead you to the right people. I had all those people in my life. I had a psychiatrist, a psychologist, I had a good counselor. Of course, I had amazing friends and my family to support me. But I was very open about this and I did it prayerfully, and God led me to the right people and He worked through them to take me to a place of wholeness. Secondly, please never self-diagnose. I've said this earlier. I want to be very responsible in the way that I present this, to say I'm giving you some pointers, but you have to have a professional opinion in going ahead. One of the best ways for me to have understood my own battle with depression and how it works is to understand it when somebody told me it's like a laptop or like a computer. You have hardware and you have software. Now your hardware is your body. We all have a body, and our body works in different ways. And many of us need to take medication for certain areas in our body that is not functioning correctly. Now when it comes to depression, your neurotransmitters play a massive role. Your thyroid gland plays a massive role. Your adrenals play a massive role. And if some of them are depleted or not firing well, it can have a massive influence on your body and on your mood. So some people think, this has got to do with my emotions, so it can't be my body. No, but sometimes these two actually work together very strongly. So in my case, I had to go on medication, and this is where the hardware comes in. Because living a life of high adrenaline, also as an artist, also as a minister of the gospel, I would have many times adrenaline drops. So my adrenals would become depleted. And medication helped a lot to really replenish me. Especially also when you lose a lot of sleep. People with depression don't sleep well and you have all these anxieties and it manifests in your body. I believe when we look at our hardware in a good way, it can kickstart us. It can help us to go in the right direction. Now, some people are against all forms of chemical medicines. They would rather go the natural way. Whichever way you choose and whichever works the best for your body, it might be good. And that's where the professional help comes in, to have the right person help you with the right medication. That's your hardware side. Your software is something totally different. This is where I believe the hardest work actually lies in our journey of victory. And that is your mind. Hardware, your body, software is your thinking patterns, your neuro pathways. You know, it's like walking up a hill. There's a little road, and the more you walk it, the more the grass dies underneath your feet, and there goes, or there's a certain path that you form, and we call this a neuro pathway, a way of thinking. So when that thing happens in your life, it triggers something, and you think that pattern. Now to break that is massive. For instance, if you get a certain glance from an individual, you think they reject you. Suddenly there's a thinking pattern that is almost like habitually triggered, because that's the way you grew up. That's the way maybe your dad looked at you, or somebody that hurt you in your past. So it's a neurotransmitter. It's a way of thinking, and that needs to be changed. I'm just using an example. what worked for me, and this is where a good counselor comes in or a good psychologist, where they help you reprogram your thinking. One of the methods that was used on me is called CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, that helped me a lot is how to rewire the way you think about life and where you don't fall into the spiral of negativity constantly. For me, that is a lot like Romans 12 that speaks about renewing of your mind. Philippians 4 speaks about everything that's noble, everything that's right and pure. Think about these things, because I knew my thinking patterns were off. They were lie-stricken in so many ways, where I believed so many lies, and God had to come and replace that with His wonderful word. And many times you cannot do that by yourself. That's why you need somebody objectively on the other side that you can speak to, and they can help identify lies and thinking patterns and neural pathways that need to change in your life, hardware, software. I also believe that it might be the case, I don't suggest that you start there always, that as I've mentioned in earlier sessions, there might be some demonic oppression, that somewhere the enemy has got a hold on you, and then you need to pray with somebody, that you can literally go for deliverance, and somebody can pray for you for a specific stronghold that might be in your life. And then also, I would encourage you to really exercise and to get out. It's so good just to have the sun on your face, to have the blood flow, to have the sweat going. I remember my dad dragged me out of bed in those seasons, said, just come and jog with me. And I didn't feel like it. But every time when I've done it and I'm finished, I felt good, because my body in those moments produced happy hormones. You just feel good once you've exercised, hopefully. Diet, what you eat, is so important, that you don't eat junk food, you eat well. Then start doing things that you really like old hobbies that you used to do. For me, at some point, I took up bird watching again, because I used to do that as a kid, and I loved doing that. I started to put in irrigation in people's gardens just to have success in a certain area, so that I could start to feel a bit better about myself again. I know it seems ridiculous, but that's where I had to start at some point on my journey with battling depression. Then also, so important, sometimes we can get in such a victim mentality as people struggling with depression, that you are so inward focused. So I always encourage people, get out, go and help, go and serve people with a greater need than you. Not to feel guilty about your problems, but to just get perspective and see the joy it brings you when you help alleviate the pain of others. Maybe you need to make some changes, triggers in your life that you need to start avoiding, things that you know is not good for you, and that triggers these depressive episodes. It might be some relationships that you need to start cutting off because you know it's just bad for you. For other people, it might be that you need to go and say sorry, ask forgiveness, or give forgiveness. That's where a counselor can help you so well with getting rid of past trauma and abuse, and having to set people free, because you know bitterness in our lives and unforgiveness can also harbor this, can also fester depression many times in our lives. And then also, I want to encourage you to be in a spiritual family where you have people giving you grace, but also giving you truth. I remember on my walk with depression, I wouldn't have made it if it wasn't for spiritual family, spiritual leaders speaking into my life. And in those moments, I had the grace speakers, and then I had the truth speakers. And you need both. I call them the back rubbers and then the truth speakers. You see, sometimes we are so insecure when we're in depression that you cannot hear the truth. The truth to expose the lie in your life. And I want to encourage you to have those people and invite them to bring truth to you as well. It's not a quick journey always, but I believe it needs to be a holistic journey that you're on. Please ask for help, if this is you, and start this journey of recovery, start this journey of victory that I believe the God of all hope also has for you.